we didn't come here to talk about Ezra Miller, sadly. This is not the Ezra Miller podcast, talk show. This is TalkingTelly. Now, before we get into the topic at hand, which I'm sure many of you can see on the screen, first, last week we gave a bit of insight, a bit of recommendations, some brief recommendations on some shows that we've seen that we would recommend. So how about this time, for the next 10 or so minutes, we give a bit of small takes on some movies, some recommendations, what we like, what we recommend to people to check in and watch. So, how about you start, Owen? Give us a movie that you would recommend.
I'm trying to think of movies which I've seen recently. And bear in mind, I haven't seen a lot of great movies recently.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a lot of standouts as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
One movie I have seen recently, Snatch. First time seeing it. Really good movie.
Never
I do
heard
recommend
of
that movie. Snatch.
Never
Oh
heard
yeah.
of it.
So I don't know if I want to go into too much detail
No,
for the
not
people
too
who
much.
actually want to watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's a crime/comedy
Yeah.
about this boxing promoter fella who is basically taught the life of fixing boxing matches
Oh.
by this gangster.
I think I've seen a couple of seconds of it on Film 4, like here and there. Not funny, but interesting.
Now, the cast of this movie is what first dragged me in.
Yeah, I mean, if you can
This
see on the
movie,
screen,
this movie,
Brad Pitt, Jason
Yeah.
Statham,
Jason Statham,
the Vinny
you got
guy,
Benicio del Toro, you got fucking Vinny Jones,
yeah,
you got
Vinny Jones, yeah, the football player himself, the Mean Machine.
you got loads of these people, and you're thinking, movie's gotta be good. And I have to say, it was good. It was good. It wasn't amazing. Like, it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen.
Mm.
But it stood out.
Oh, alright. So, and
If anyone here is a fan of Cardboard Gangsters, very similar.
see, over here in the chat, Roman's recommending one of his movies, Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. A real movie. If I thankfully have not had the pleasure or displeasure of watching it, but I'll put it up on screen. The Escape Clause.
I've seen it.
Oh,
I've seen it. Lord knows I've seen it.
that is a
Look.
title and a half. The Escape Clause. My God.
Look,
Move
the
away
lore
slow.
of the Santa Claus trilogy is as deep rooted as the lore of Breaking Bad or Five Nights at Freddy's. You know,
Really?
once you start peeling back layers, it's only about time you find some more.
Damn. Alright, so I'll drop a movie that I'd always recommend. Many of you may have seen it, many of you may not have seen it. Recently, I've been reminded of this movie just because YouTube clips, because the movie comes up on YouTube, just clips of it, and I think, man, what a phenomenal movie. Of course, I'm talking about it's The Big Short,
The Big Short.
with Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, star-studded cast, even more cameos, and what a phenomenal movie. Even though it is about the recession, the big short selling, which happened right as the economic crash of the 2000s, or 2008, and yeah.
Actually, I think it invoked the economic
Well, I
crash.
don't think the selling involved it, but
But the whole downfall
oh yeah. It's truly a
occurred
fantastic movie.
because of this.
Not only does it give you a phenomenal insight on how it happened, the seedy underbelly of Wall Street, and just the ridiculousness of it. You couldn't even imagine. You can't make up how many different ways they can come up by selling like fake news as real news. And I'm not talking about like fake news. I'm talking about fake mortgages, fake statements, fake loans. They can just repackage it into real loans and sell it. It's a very not only informative but just super interesting and quite funny movie as well, which you do have to be awake for. You can't watch it when you're asleep, sadly. It's not one of those movies where you can close one eye and watch, but on those days when you're ready, I highly recommend watching The Big Short. So, you got any?
I have to watch The Big Short, and I have to say, he is right with this one. He is right with this one. Like, this is a Talking Telly approved movie. Right here, right now. Talking Telly approved movie. Yeah. I think I should give insight to a movie I've seen recently, and I don't recommend people watching. Ever. You know. Hot take right here.
Okay.
I fucking hate Mamma Mia. I despise Mamma Mia the movie. I hate it.
Which one? One or two? Cause
Number one.
Number one, okay.
I haven't even watched Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Never will I watch Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Interesting.
I fucking hate Mamma Mia.
So why do you hate Mamma Mia?
So,
like, what's the hatred for?
Me and the girlfriend, the girl,
Yep.
deciding on a movie. She sees Mamma Mia in our DVD collection. Bear in mind, this yoke is off Netflix. And by God, is it off Netflix for a reason? I'm sure all the dudes out there in relationships can agree with me in saying, you know, Mamma Mia, get it off the list. Probably a Twitter thread with thousands of fucking upvotes, likes, shares, retweets, whatever it is. I don't use Twitter. Updates. Probably agree with the statement that Mamma Mia ain't good. Ain't good.
But it's a classic.
The cast.
It is a classic.
It's not a classic.
No?
I don't agree with that statement. That movie was made in 2007. You cannot consider that a classic.
There's definitely some 2007 movies that are classics. I can't think of any right now.
But it ain't a classic. You can't look back at it and be like, oh yeah, this movie giving me nostalgia right here.
I got a couple.
Or this movie.
2007.
This movie ahead of its time. It's 2007.
Listen.
It's 2007.
2007 had movies like Superbad, The Simpsons movie,
Oh,
Juno, I Am Legend, The Mist, The Bee Movie, and The Bridge.
the B movie, 2007.
Exactly.
Now look. You're gonna hit me with all them movies and still say Mamma Mia a classic. Are you for real? Are you serious right now? You're gonna hit me with I Am Legend and say Mamma Mia classic. That's the one for me, Mamma Mia. No. Look, there was no tears shed from the male community, bar you, for Mamma Mia. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Do you have any movies you highly?
There definitely have been movies that I've seen and I've thought that is pure shit. You just put it in the bin, never want to see it again. The problem is, I like to just take those movies out from my mind, not think about them, never remember them ever again. And it is a real struggle to think of movies that I didn't like. Pirates of the Caribbean 4 is pretty stink, but I wouldn't say I hated it.
I didn't mind Pirates of the Caribbean 4. I watched for the first time the Pirates of the Caribbean. What would you say, series? I wouldn't even. Yeah, I'd say series of movies. Like recently enough, like in the past year, like first time watching them, and I didn't think Pirates of the Caribbean 4 was that bad.
I remember seeing it in the cinemas, and I guess as a kid, I was like, I wasn't wowed. And as a fan of Pirates as a kid, I felt like to not get excited for a new one, to not be like after the amazing trilogy, to not be invested. I mean, the movie must have done something wrong.
See,
actually,
one thing I can say is the Pirates of the Caribbean. The first three movies, you are right there. They are masterpieces.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
They are amazing films, and number 4, it's a step in the right and the wrong direction at the same time. I do believe 4 had better production quality.
Actually, have you seen Tenet? Because Have you?
I've seen Tenet.
Because Roman
I've seen
is
Tenet.
saying,
Yeah, I saw Tenet in the
Roman's saying that in his opinion it's crap, and he said it's too complicated.
Look, I can both agree and disagree with you there, Roman. I can both agree and disagree. Tenet, in its own right, is both an amazing and a shit film. Like, if you read too much into it... Oh, no spoilers. Are you saying no spoilers?
Don't spoil
your
it,
audio
but-
keeps on cutting off.
Yeah, don't spoil it, but go on.
I do agree with him in saying it's a shit movie and it does get overcomplicated. And I feel like that does... What would you call it? Like...
Hinder it.
It does ruin the ending a little bit.
Oh, really?
If you think too much into it. Yeah, it ruins the ending just a little bit. Because you start to think to yourself, like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
Like, it's not like Inception, where the more you think to it, the more layers there is. It's the more you dive into this movie, the more you get lost in the sauce. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Quite literally lost in the sauce.
I have a movie that is... It's so hard to explain what it is. It is a movie. It is... I don't know if you've ever seen it. King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword. It is...
With Charlie Hunnam in it. With Charlie Hunnam in it.
It is... Have you seen it?
Jax from Sons of Anarchy. I've seen most of the movie.
It is...
I've seen most of that movie.
It is a movie. That's all I can say. I've seen...
That's what ruined his acting career. That movie ruined his acting career.
Like, this movie had a huge budget. It was like 200 million. It was supposed to start a whole new like franchise of Arthurian legends with Merlin and Camelot and all these other places and people. It was supposed to be like the franchise starter, the beginner, and it's star-studded. It's got Charlie Hunnam, it's got Jude Law, it's got the guy who plays Peter Baelish, and it's got plenty of it's star-studded, phenomenal. And you watch it, and it's so weird because you have some interesting dialogue, some cool witty scenes, and then like it's a 2.5-hour movie roughly, and it is, I think, the quickest movie I've ever seen. As in, they'll travel from one place to another, deliver like texts, pages of exposition in seconds. It's so jarring. I guarantee, if you watch this movie, you'll probably enjoy it, but you will have never seen such jarring, quick pacing in your entire life. It is ridiculous. They try to do his whole backstory and origin, and they try to show him as a kid, and like as a teenager, and as a young adult, and then finally as an adult. And it's all done in like 2 minutes. Like, it's so weird. And the action's like... And I was thinking, where's this money gone? And there's like huge CGI battles. And he can like slow down time with his sword and, do all this crazy shit. And I've seen it. I've seen what the first time I watched it, I saw from the halfway to the end. The second time from the start to the halfway. Yeah, it is. I'd say it's even more jarring than the Taken Tree Fence Hop, which notoriously has 20 cuts or 21 cuts. Oh my god, I have one more movie after this to mention, the bad one. It's very weird, and I remember watching it, thinking, okay, this is some medieval fantasy movie, and in the end you have a big, climactic battle, and all of a sudden this magic comes in, and like he slows down time, and he's moving at like the speed of sound, and it looks like he's made of rubber, like his arms and his sword is just flinging around, and it is so weird, and I enjoyed it. I was watching thinking, this is cool, but it's just so, I can't describe it. It's a perfect disaster. It's just so weird. And the final movie, I'm just going to briefly mention it, is the second James Bond movie of Daniel Craig, which is, of course, Quantum of Solace. If anyone's seen Quantum of Solace, which I don't think anyone has, I don't know anyone who has seen that movie. Oh my god, is it a bad movie?
Quantum of Solace.
It's so bad. It follows Casino Royale. Casino Royale, fantastic Bond movie.
Oh, Casino Royale is a great movie. Isn't Quantum of Solace the really depressing?
It's before. No,
Real.
That's Skyfall, I think.
I'm trying to.
It's before Skyfall. It's in between two.
Oh,
of
it's
the
before
best.
Skyfall. Okay.
It's in between two of the best Bonds movies. and it's laughably bad. Like, it's taken levels of action cutting where it just flips from one scene to another. It's as quick as King Arthur. It's crazy how ridiculous it is, and I would never ever recommend watching that movie. Um,
Um,
oh shit! I so someone in the chat is saying they've seen Quantum of Solace, and Quantum of Solace, and I highly, how do you say? I feel sorry for you for watching that movie, because oh my god, that was ass. Like, I remember watching it and thinking, I'm always a big fan of Daniel Craig, especially in the Bond movies, and oh my god, it's terrible. The whole story is like, it's connected to Casino Royale, but it's just terrible. It tries to rewrite stuff. Some characters are dead, some aren't, and oh, it's bad. I would never recommend it. And please just skip it. Like, they never mention it again. You can easily skip Quantum of Solace, go straight to Skyfall, and then Spectre, and then No Time to Die. Because, oh my god, it's bad. But
um, I've never heard you shit so much on a movie before.
it's terrible.
That's the first time.
It's so bad. Don't watch it.
You know.
Don't watch it. But however, what I would recommend, highly recommend, if you cannot see on the screen, Breaking Bad.
Oh, of course.
You've probably heard of it. I mean, who hasn't heard of Breaking Bad? It's one of the generation-defining shows on AMC. I'm pretty sure it's a very
Yeah.
TV show. Came out in 2008, I believe, ran to 2013. Of course, main famous actors such as Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. And my god, it is one of the best shows you'll ever watch. And I do not say that lightly, having watched many fantastic shows. It is phenomenal. Take it away, Owen.
Look, I think most people here know or have some idea of the main plot behind Breaking Bad. But just in case you don't, it follows Walter White, a chemistry high school teacher, who's just been told that he's facing cancer. He has no money. He has no life prospects. He has, a bitch of a
Well,
has a bitch of a wife.
I wouldn't say so, but some people would say that.
I would. As the story goes on,
We'll get into that later. Yeah.
Suffering in debt, and he decides, I gotta leave something for my family. Now, something to watch my son and daughter grow up with while I'm not there. So he decides to start selling meth.
Yeah.
And the first person he thinks of was any semblance towards knowing anything about drugs. Meth is his old, what would you say?
Pupil.
Old delinquent student.
Yeah.
Jesse Pinkman.
The Pinkman.
Now, Jesse is, I'll just say it now, one of my favourite characters from the show.
Oh, he is phenomenal.
The arcs he goes through are amazing. But at the very starting, you'll be showing him as just a regular meth junkie. Just complete buffoon. Complete tool.
Yeah.
Who knows nothing about meth. Making it. Distributing it. The only thing he actually knows is just how to take it.
Yep.
And that becomes very important later on.
Mm-hmm.
For, we'll just say reason. So Walt and Jesse team up and make the ultimate tag team duo. These dudes are better than Rey Mysterio and Kalisto. These dudes.
That's a statement and a half.
That is a statement and a half. These dudes better than. Don't want to come out and say it, but
Peanut
better
butter and
than
jelly.
Undertaker and Kane.
Better than
Undertaker and
the
Kane
Brothers of
duo.
Destruction themselves.
Better than the Brothers of Destruction.
Better than Avengers Infinity War and Endgame.
One would argue. One would argue. Their partnership better than Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. The ultimate duo who go through thick and thin, through trials and tribulations in order to get the bread. And I can only commend them for it. With lots of twists and turns to fight the odds. And eventually BreakingBad.
Bow, bow. I can't do the intro. Very good intro. Bow, bow, bow. Good intro. So, yeah, as Owen mentioned. Yeah, never mind.
Plugs the government name. Plugs the government name.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's not your last name. That's a.
It doesn't even know me. Doesn't even know me.
I don't even know who this fella is. You know, I don't know what he looks like. I mean, jeez, I've already talked to him on the internet once or twice. So you know, only met him last week on the podcast.
Just started on the podcast, you know, randomly.
I put a.
Damn, he just signed me up for this. He just kidnapped me, put the mic to my. I was like, speak about shows.
I jumped on Fiverr and I was like, you know what? I'll give you €5. We'll do a podcast. And I was like, shit, might as well.
Damn, you got me there. Alright, we just need to come up with a fake first name.
I mean, yeah.
Damn, ain't no dudes out here really called out.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, I might be talking to Geraldo. I'm just using Owen as a little preface, you know.
You're actually talking to Cristiano Ronaldo here.
But yeah. Anyway, so
you probably haven't seen the dude.
Mm-hmm.
No. Go ahead. I was
just going to mention just a quick fact that I just had under my mind that about BreakingBad. You mentioned that Jesse had to start a big drug addict, meth addict, and you know you can see it. You look at him, but a big thing that what's his name? That the director Vince Gilligan mentioned is that he always wished that he made Jesse's teeth look worse. Because I'll put up a picture right now. Jesse has normal teeth, pretty good looking teeth, but of course a meth addict wouldn't. A meth addict, as someone like Skinny Pete, you see, his teeth are mangled and gnarly and just completely fuck. No other word to say it. They're destroyed. But Jesse's teeth are, I mean, they're fine. They're grand. He's got nice pearly whites, and I don't know. Just thought I wanted to mention that. I always found that very interesting. But yeah. Anyway.
See.
So now BreakingBad.
If it was Jared Leto playing Jesse Pinkman, he'd have no teeth.
If it was Jared Leto playing Jesse Pinkman, he'd have tattoos all over his face.
He'd just be regularly taking meth. The method actor, Jared Leto.
But
just thought I'd drop that little snip of him.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not dissing Skinny Pete, by the way. It's a compliment to his acting how good his teeth is, unless they're actually like that in real life. And I mean, Badger was Badger.
Unless he is a meth addict
in real life.
Yeah, Badger was.
He I mean, I didn't notice his teeth if they were any bad, but anyway, for people who don't know, BreakingBad is a fairly slow show, especially in the first 3 seasons, and that is, in my opinion, what makes it so great. Especially season 1, 2. There's not many episodes. It's not a 20 episode long show. Each episode's an hour long. No. Each episode 47 minutes long. The first season has 7 episodes, and most of the others have 13, apart from the last one. And this isn't, Sons of... I can't think of any shows. This isn't like The Simpsons. Well, no, obviously. This isn't like Sons of Anarchy or Peaky Blinders, where they just kind of have to either A, get a lot of stuff done, or B, have so many episodes that they can make filler episodes. It's needed. What it is perfectly spaced, so that each episode has an importance, a weight. But not that, you're watching each episode stressed and you're too tired, too much information to sink in, it's like a job almost. No. You can't watch Breaking Bad casually, and I think that's what, it's just so easily approachable, It's not like Sherlock or, as I mentioned, The Big Short earlier, where you have to be thinking, you have to be on the ball every second, You can very easily click on Breaking Bad, 40 minutes, and enjoy yourself, because it is a surprisingly funny show. Like, surprisingly funny. Like,
No, I have had a good few chuckles at Breaking Bad.
Obviously it's not a comedy, it's an intense drama. But you compare it to the likes of I don't know, Sherlock, which has a bit of shows but not like jokes but not much. Game of Thrones, The Wire, they don't have many jokes, and if they do, it's like dry humor. No, it'll make you chuckle, maybe a sniffle or two, but you're not going to be laughing. What makes Breaking Bad so good is like the physical humor. It's not, and I'm not, when I mean physical humor, I don't mean Dumb and Dumber, but booping people on the nose, head scratches and head nuggies. So small things like Walter constantly dealing with the menial problems in his life. Like he falls asleep, on the ground, wakes up and hits his head off a table or something. But it's shot so well that
Walt suffering shot so well.
And as someone mentioned in the chat, the pizza on the roof scene, phenomenal. Walt.
Oh, the pizza on the roof.
Brings the pizza to his house for one reason or another. Not going to say just yet, and it doesn't work out for him. He goes a bit mental and furiously throws the pizza on the roof. That stays there for a good while. And apparently that was also done in one take. The fluid motion of him throwing the pizza on the roof and then landing was done in the first take, which, I mean, that is really impressive.
Bryan Cranston, S+ actor for that one.
Yeah.
Did what Jared Leto couldn't.
Throw pizza.
Throws the pizza on the roof, it lands.
And obviously,
Now,
people like Jesse Pinkman have great humour as well. His buffoonery, especially in the first 3 seasons, he's, as you mentioned before, he's not exactly Walt in chemistry, and he's not a gangster, he's not a mafia boss, he doesn't really know how to handle himself on the streets. And it's very funny to watch him goof around. It's a theme at the start of the show. He gets beat up quite a lot, he gets many injuries, and many scars, many beatdowns that he has to deal with and slowly overcome to turn into a different person. Which, that's another thing that I think is very important in Breaking Bad, is the character, not only continuity, but their growth and progression. The growth that is shown in this show it's immaculate. One can only say that. Just, if you, like, in most shows, if you look at the people at the start and in the end, yeah, they'll be a bit different, maybe a bit of facial hair, this or that, but a lot of characters stay the same. In Breaking Bad, it is not that at all. Each character has gone through hell and back. They have done the worst things in life, they've done the best things in life, they've had the highs and lows, and you can see it on them. You don't even need to watch them talk. You can, just by looking at them, see what the characters have gone through. Just, and everyone, Jesse, Walt, even characters that are not even there for too long. It's, the passage of time is done really well, and how that impacts the characters and the story is very good. So yeah.
No, I can't really add much more to that. Like, the only thing I can really do is just give characters who I feel had the best and worst growth.
Alright, go ahead.
Look, I'm just gonna go characters with best growth.
Yeah, let's obviously
I'll do a top 3, and then characters with worst growth.
Yeah, no spoilers. Yeah,
This is gonna be biased. I'll just tell you that from the beginning. This is gonna be biased. The 3 worst characters for growth are gonna be, the ones who I generally dislike, unless I say so.
Yeah.
And then the ones with the most growth will generally be characters who I do like.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, you'll gravitate towards the characters who develop and change over time. Unless, of course, it is of their character to not change, which some characters just don't change, and that's perfectly fine. If that's the point. Go on.
See, I think straight off the bat, character with the most growth has to be Jesse.
Oh, 100%.
Most growth, for better or for worse, Jesse was forever changing.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not gonna say too much.
Yeah, don't.
Let's just say his change toward being a meth addict into something more.
Yeah. That is actually just his main theme throughout the show, and finding change and finding what he's good at. Because I mean, he is a meth addict because, as many of them in life, they fell into this hole and they don't have anything else in life. What are they good at apart from dealing a bit, selling there, cooking a bit here? What's the point? What is he good at other than selling, cooking meth? And you really see him get his skills and develop throughout the show. Go on.
Sorry, I cut off there.
No.
Now, I'd say after that, for better or for worse, Walt has to be next.
Oh, definitely, obviously.
In terms of growth scale, Walt has to be next. Like, Walt went through thick and thin. Went through all the trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
Like I said before. And you can see him change from Walter White, mediocre chemistry teacher, nothing going for him, hard done by life, woman of his dreams taken, everything's gone wrong, to, seizes life's every moment.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
you can see it. You can see it. The change from season 1 to season 5. He not only becomes more confident in himself.
I mean, he becomes a completely different person.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows.
I think that goes
Walt and Heisenberg.
Oh,
the 2 personas.
You don't. Yeah. Okay. Just his change.
Yeah.
It is almost like split personality. It is almost 2 different characters.
Yeah.
Like, think of Moon Knight, if anyone has watched the first episode. Think of Moon Knight, like almost 2 completely different characters played by the same person.
Anyway.
Or, even better, if you haven't watched Moon Knight, Shutter Island.
Oh yeah. Great movie as well, by the way. That's another movie we highly recommend. With Leonardo DiCaprio and Ben Kingsley and Mark Ruffalo.
I'd personally say Leo's best. Hot take, but Leo's best.
And who was your third character?
Anyway, third, I'd have to say Hank.
Oh yeah. Well.
Hank's change, I wouldn't necessarily say is for better.
Well,
Hank's change isn't for better. Well, it's better for him as a character, but isn't better for him in his own. What would you say? His mentality in.
Well, yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
If you look at him from the start of the show, he never really dealt with much, and he was happy with that.
Oh yeah.
He was happy with being big shot,
Yeah,
Small
yeah, Mr. Mr. Hotfuzz, and walking around, walking around, kicking his legs up, big cowboy boots. Well, obviously he didn't have big cowboy hat, but Mr. Hot Shot, Mr. Big Gun, big iron on his hip. Yeah, go on.
Like, his change, I would not say is for better. Him and Walt are two completely separate beings. They're like two sides of the same coin. Walt is living this mundane life and he's unhappy. Even before he got cancer, he was unhappy in his life.
Oh yeah.
And he wanted change. Hank, on the other hand, is completely happy and satisfied with his life.
Oh yeah.
He's happy with the mundane.
Yeah.
He's happy with the simple.
But
and yet
fine.
he goes
That's
for
fine.
change, thinking it'll be for better.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
For Walt, he ends up finding that change was the best thing which could have happened to him. He has everything he ever wanted.
To a point.
To an extent.
To a very extreme and morally grey point. Yes.
But in the end, he does get what he wants. He has money.
Well,
he sort of has family by the end of the show. Sort of. I'm not going to say he does. Like you say, the him and Scholar situation was,
it's a complicated theme throughout the show, which obviously it wouldn't be. If,
But
yeah.
Hank, on the other hand, Hank goes off to the border.
Mm.
And his change is just the complete opposite of Walt. He goes out and he hates it. He can't stand it. He comes home with PTSD. He actually made the change and it destroyed his life.
By the way, I'm just going to quickly pop in and say thank you very much, Cherry Pepperoni, for the follow. And someone else might have followed this second, or it may have been from before, but yeah, thank you very much. She said earlier that when you just before you said your third point, they mentioned that it was Hank's arc that they particularly really enjoyed, and when you mentioned it, saying that you stole their point.
Oh, I stole the point. I do come with the fact knowledge. I'll have you know.
So
but I'm glad someone else is out there of the similar opinion.
Yeah. But what are the characters that you would say have not grown?
Have not grown.
Yeah.
And look, I do genuinely believe every character in the show undergoes change.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe that.
Mm.
And like I said, this will lean towards characters who I kind of dislike.
Yeah, obviously.
But there is a character in this list
Mm-hmm.
who I love. I love him as a character.
Yeah.
So do not take it as, these are Owen's most hated list. This is Owen's...
You heard it here first. These are Owen's three
Hasn't
least favorite
changed
characters. These are his least favorite characters coming up.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'd say number one. It's got to be Scholar.
Oh, come on. No way.
It's got to be Scholar.
How can you say that?
Scholar, from the starting of the show till the ending of the show, never really undergoes much change.
There is a huge
other
change.
than changing sexual partners. Sorry, spoiler, I don't say who it is, but that's all she's changing.
I mean,
that's all she's changed.
I'm not going to say what, but in season 4, I mean, there's a huge change. If you compare season 3, season 4, and season 5 Skylar, they're completely different characters. The way they interact with...
Would you say she changed, or would you say she's just become more open of her opinions on Walt?
I said she's completely changed.
Bear in mind,
she's completely changed. The way she feels about Walt, and even Jesse and everyone, and her son, and Hank and everyone, it completely changes towards the end. And throughout the show, it also changes. And
would you say she changed, or would you say she adapted?
No, that's both, isn't it? Change and adaptation, that's the same thing.
No.
What do you mean, no? Alright, I would say that she did not feel the same way to Walt as she felt at the end of the show. That's a very clear. There's a huge
Look, okay,
difference.
okay. I would say she changed to that extent, but I mean as a character as a whole. Look, like I said, this is going to be characters who I dislike, so it is biased. I did say that at the start. But I cannot say with clear conscience she has had change for better or for worse. Yes, I do agree. She adapted to situations. She adapted to the new money coming in, and took over the car wash. But her still being a fucking bitch never changed.
Yeah, I mean,
Hasn't changed.
people in the chat, one agrees with you, but Cherry Pepper's saying that she did change, but as you said, it's kind of like adaptation, changed, but then she grew, but then slowly reverted back to her old habits due to the circumstances that she faced. But yeah, and personally, I'd have to disagree with you.
So,
But yeah, who's your second person?
the second person. Now, this is in no way, shape, or form an insult to the character.
Yeah.
This is no insult to the character.
No.
But I'd have to say Saul Goodman.
Oh, I mean,
Now this
oh no,
isn't bad.
Saul
this
Goodman
isn't bad. I love Saul.
one
I
could
love Saul as a character.
One could argue Saul not changing is the point of his character. He's slimy, he's sleazy,
Yeah.
he likes to get away with stuff, and he likes money. I mean, he doesn't need to change.
You can't say Saul changes for better or for worse. You can't say he undergoes any change.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all about the money. You can say his actions towards the end of the story could be seen as change, but at the end of the day,
I mean,
you look at Saul, he has himself first.
he
Puts himself first.
He just gets a bit more paranoid, but I mean, that's just who he is. That's just how he deals with stressful situations.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the strengths of his character. You see all these characters, panicking, changing, doing this, doing that. But Saul's still Saul. He's still doing what he needs to be doing, lawyering up, being like the person that you need to go to when you're in dire times, and the shoulder that you can talk to when you need a voice. So who's this mysterious third character that also doesn't experience change or go to a major?
Mysterious third character.
Yeah.
I don't think undergoes change. And yet again, I don't think this is for the worst.
Yeah.
I do not think this is for the worst.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't really affect the storyline
Yeah.
in a certain sense. Like I've been saying main characters up until this stage.
Yeah.
But I think his, like Saul's, not changing shows a stark comparison for one of the main characters. And this character is Stephen Gomez. Gomi.
Oh.
Gomi undergoes no change.
Completely forgot about Gomi.
Gomi undergoes no change, and there's a reason. There's a reason I brought him in. There is a reason I brought him in. Yet again, I'm gonna go back to Hank's trauma. I didn't put this point across because I knew I was gonna involve Gomi in this. Gomi undergoes no change, and the whole reason I believe he undergoes no change is to show the effects of Hank's trauma. Hank at the start and with Gomi, they were like PB&J. They were tight.
Yeah.
Best buds talking. Gomi, the quiet one, but always listen to Hank.
Yeah.
Hank, the big shot, the big gun.
Yeah.
When Hank comes back and he's suffering with his PTSD, he isolates himself from Gomi.
Yeah.
You can see it more and more. He's not hanging around with Gomi. Gomi's trying to get him out,
Yeah.
trying to get him involved. Bear in mind, these are two characters. Gomi hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And yet Gomi's the one who has to, extend the hand. That was never, the relationship they had. It was always Hank almost dragging Gomi along.
Yeah.
Now it's the other way around. Gomi is the same person. He hasn't undergone any change.
Yeah,
But his relationship with Hank has gone completely sour.
Well, I mean,
just because of Hank's trauma. I wouldn't say sour, but it's
to a
gone
point.
completely askew.
It definitely rebounds at a point, at a later point. It definitely rebounds. But there's definitely a moment in the show where Hank, I mean, there's the iconic middle Hank, where Hank he's just isolated from the world, and that phase of Hank is phenomenal. It's hilarious, which is another aspect of the comedy, but also very sad and serious at the same time. And yeah, yeah, I'm surprised Gomi would be here. But, didn't think we'd be talking about Gomi today.
I do believe Gomi deserved the shout out. He was a good character.
Oh, phenomenal! Yeah.
Like, he didn't do much. But he was a good character.
Yeah. So Roman obviously mentioning a big one. I was going to mention him, but Roman decided to bump it in. Mike. Mike doesn't change, and that's similar to Saul Goodman. He doesn't need to change. Mike is a grumpy old man. He's doing it for the money. He has his reasons. End the story. He doesn't need to change. He doesn't view the world in some weird, altering, perspective. He sees everything how he sees it. He has his opinions of people. That's it. If you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't.
You see, I would disagree. With you here, Ron. I would disagree with you here. I do believe Mike undergoes change. It's not very evident if you look at him at face value.
Yeah.
You look at Mike, like you said, he is just cold, stern, to the money.
Yeah.
He counts the hours, he counts the minutes.
Yeah,
He clocks out for his breaks.
Mm-hmm.
The man is there for one sole reason, to provide for his family.
Yeah.
Kind of like Walt, but except it's not a passion.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any drive for his job. He just does it because he knows how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike's relationship with Jesse can be seen as the one fundamental change
that is
Mike undergoes in the show.
Yeah, very, very, very.
Bear in mind, Mike made no relationships with people.
No.
He wasn't known for making relationships. He was known as business transactions only.
Yeah.
He never got too close to people, just in case it backfired, or just in case it went sour, or just in case something happened with Gus, and he needed to be gone. That wasn't the same for Mike and Jesse. Mike practically took Jesse under his wing and taught him the ropes, but not as like, I'm going to teach you to be my successor. Teaching somebody the ropes, training them in.
Yeah.
Took him in a nurturing way almost, taught him the ropes the best way he could. Now, you could say Mike, being a family man, of course he's going to do this. But this isn't the case for Mike at work. It's two completely different people. Him with his granddaughter and him with Jesse. They're two completely different environments, but yet he still changes to make life easier for Jesse and in order to build a solid relationship. So that would be the one change Mike goes through, is that he becomes more trusting, and come the end of it, that will be his downfall.
I completely agree with you, and Roman does as well. It's a really nice side of Mike to see, his compassionate, especially when where, as you mentioned, every other character, he's a complete brick wall. No emotions, no happiness, no sadness. Get the work done. But with Jesse, it's something different that hopefully you'll see when you watch the show. Of course. But
see, that's the best we can give.
Yeah.
That's the best we can give without spoiling.
So, I'm gonna give a little. How do you say? We've been praising it, lauding the show for most of this time. I'm gonna give a very small critique because, as I said, it's one of my favorite shows, top 3 shows. I'll give a little critique that I personally think is, I don't know, it's weird. But I'm gonna avoid spoilers, obviously. But this entire show, season 1 to 5, including whatever happens, is in the span of 3 years. Most of it 2 years. And I don't know, I found that a bit jarring to think that, and I'm perfectly fine with the show. What I think it does great is a season ends, for example, on a cliffhanger, and then the next season starts like straight away in the same scene. That's phenomenal. It's really, it keeps you right engaged. You know exactly where you are. You know, it's perfect. But there's a lot of passage of time. As I mentioned, it's a slow show. The days roll by. You know, everything's left to simmer, to cool down. You really feel the repercussions of what happens. And yet, it all takes place in 2 years, 3 years. I don't know, if it was
I do
4
agree,
years, 5 years, maybe, but like a year or two more, and I think, like, I'd have no complaints. But just, I assume that like that's the point, that it's crazy how all this happens in such a short amount of time. But I would prefer it if, like, obviously screen time wise, we get we get a lot of time with these characters to grow and develop. But in universe, it being 2 hours, 2 years, I don't know, it just feels wrong almost. Like, I feel like we've spent more time watching it than they've existed, if you know what I mean. Like, we watched 5 seasons, and obviously when you're watching it, like, you know, in back when it came out, that's 5 separate years, and you've grown with the characters over these years. But these characters grew, they grew tremendously, but in such a short amount of time. So I think a year or two, just nothing crazy, just to keep the short, the short feeling. But I think a year or two would add, and honestly, that's my biggest critique. I've like a pretty small critique, you know, it's nothing crazy. Wow, the show takes place over 3 years, nothing crazy. But I do think a year or two, just to make it seem just a bit longer, I think that would have helped it a bit more.
No, I 100% agree with that. I agree with that fact. You know, it does seem like a big change. Like, you do have Walt just starting out in season 1, and then come season 5, you know, he set up a business which can be seen on the Nasdaq.
Mm-hmm.
Quote intended, by the way. A business which can be seen on the Nasdaq, and for that to happen in 3 years, I know it's a Met business. I know it doesn't confide by normal laws.
Yeah.
I know it's a show, but I do agree with you in saying, you know, 3 years is just too short of a time.
I think Peaky Blinders is a perfect comparison. Think of Peaky Blinders. 5 seasons of it. Each season, I assume, is a different year. You see the character's age.
It is.
Each season you see the Peaky Blinder empire, I'll just say. It starts from a bunch of, you know, gangsters in the mucky Birmingham, like, inner city, fighting for a bit of horse racing, to a big political party nearly, and which has a governing official and very strong ties to all over England, and even in some parts of other countries. And I think that's done phenomenally. You know, it's 5 years. You can see very clearly how it progressed. I think a bit of
Actually, I'll correct you there. It's even longer, actually.
Even longer.
Yeah, because season 6 starts cutting into... I'm not going to say it starts cutting into World War II, but it starts cutting into World War II territory.
Oh.
You know, with a fascist party being
led
in England. So it actually spans over... Well, the main plot begins 12 years.
12.
Before the start of season
Obviously,
6. That was during the war.
Yeah.
That was during the war. That's not where we first take off in season 1. But 12 years.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not saying Breaking Bad should have lasted 12 years, but...
No.
A year or two. And honestly, that's my main complaint. And I actually don't have any other major complaint apart from that. How about you?
Look, I'll have to agree and disagree with you on the time. I did agree with the fact that it should have been more.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fact it all happened in 3 years not only is it, realistic, I'll say realistic in a sense,
Yeah.
as in, he is suffering with cancer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah.
He is suffering with cancer. From the very beginning, we knew he only
Yeah.
had a
He's on
limited
the
amount
clock.
of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I think that just adds to the excitement.
It does. It does. I just think.
If you said he has 5 years to live, or he has
Yeah.
3 years to live,
Yeah.
we're obviously going to be tuned in for the 3 years.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
this is coming near the end of his life.
Uh-huh.
This is his last moves before checkmate. That's the whole urgency around
Oh yeah,
season
yeah.
one.
I mean that's basically that's the drive of the show. I do agree with that, but I'm not going to spoil anything. But there's definitely a time in the show where that's not as important as it was at different parts of the show. When almost
of course. That's why I agree with you in
Yeah.
saying 5 years would be best.
Yeah,
6 years.
Honestly, just 4 or 5 years. That's it. 4 or 5. Especially at the end.
Obviously, it can't go on forever.
Oh yeah.
Everything has to come to an end. Whether we like it or not, it's not The Simpsons. We can't get 28
Yeah.
seasons.
I'm pretty sure Simpsons has more actually. It's like 30, 32, 35.
Fucking hell, they're really milking them. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, 33. This April.
33.
And like each season has like 20 episodes, which is ridiculous.
How?
I don't know.
They're really milking at this stage. I honestly thought it was on like 29.
No, God, no. It was on 29 in 2018. Oh my God.
How?
Alright, so
Well, actually, I know how, because there's no actual plot
yeah.
living.
But
That's why.
so what would be your main critique of this phenomenal show?
My main critique of the show. I say it would be the fact that no real investigation was being made. Now you're gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh, what?
Yeah, what?
No investigation." Bear in mind, so this show, like you said, takes a span over 3 years.
Yeah. Well, it's most of it is 2 years, 2.5 years, most of it.
You're telling me that 2.5, 3 years. I'm not gonna go on and spoil the show majorly.
Yeah.
But Walt is caught for, of course, he makes meth.
Yeah. Oh,
There's murders. There's gangbanging.
Yeah.
There's theft. There's drunk driving. There's fucking money laundering.
Mm-hmm.
There's, what would you say? Corruption in a major corporation. It's just all these crimes are building up. Bear in mind, I don't think there's too much of a spoiler. But this is like my.
Well, how about let's just say minor spoilers if you're watching on the VOD or whatever, or if you're watching live. Minor spoilers.
We'll just say skip a minute.
Skip 3 minutes.
Yeah, skip 3 minutes.
Alright, time now.
Okay, so him and Jesse at the very start robbing the lab.
Mm-hmm.
And bear in mind, it all went fucking wrong.
Yeah.
It all went wrong. You're telling me that they got away with that?
Yeah, but, I mean.
You're telling me they got away with that? Number 2, them killing Gail. I know they come to justice eventually, but how did they get away with that? There was a murder. There's obviously got to be cameras. There's got to be something. Like they got to be on an FBI manhunt at this stage.
Well, they don't know that it's part of him because it's just one guy murdered. They don't know. Like the whole point is that it's just some guy got killed in the gang violence. They don't know that it's related to Heisenberg.
Yeah, I know, but they could. well, I hope they could be able to, track the car which was used. Bear in mind, it was Jesse's car. He didn't use any other person's car. He literally got in his car, drove down, got out, killed Gail, and got back in his own car. There's got to be security cameras around the place.
Well, I don't know. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, security cameras, I don't know about that.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, security cameras just aren't there.
No.
But them robbing the train. Why wasn't Gus investigated earlier? He just popped up out of nowhere.
Well, no, the train.
Why
Why
wasn't the car washed?
The train was perfect. The train was perfect. You can't say everything about that was perfectly done. So they can't know.
What about? You see, it's just so many crimes building up. How they get away with it? Like how there is no prior investigation.
Think about how many gangs are doing stuff today and they're getting away with it. How often do you see gangs and major gangs arrested? Think of how long it took to get fucking El Chapo, whatever his name is.
El Chapo is a completely different situation. He paid off the cops. He literally paid off the cops.
Yeah, and Gus probably did as well.
No, he didn't. That's the whole point of the Gus meeting Hank and meeting.
Yeah, he didn't pay him off, but he was in the good books with them.
He was in the good books with them. I'll give him that. He was in the good books, but it doesn't mean
he donated like 20,000 to the charity and like to the facilities. Of course, they were not going to invest. That was the big point. They're not going to investigate the guy who donated like 50,000 to charity, who showed up all their fun runs and did everything for them.
I just think it's crazy how so many crimes were gotten away with. Like, he didn't go out against the police.
And by the
police
way,
barely had any involvement.
3 minutes up. I mean, you can still talk. Okay. I mean, no, you can still talk about their crimes, but don't say what.
Don't spoil it. Yeah.
So spoiler free now. If you're tuning in, no spoilers now.
Well, I do believe the crimes they get away with.
No.
Of course, it makes the show exciting. I'm not denying that fact. No. But if you put these crimes down on a list, like you get an A4 page, you write down all the crimes they commit. Yeah. You're writing on the back. You're writing on the back of that fucking page.
Yeah.
And why people in Albuquerque, New Mexico couldn't put 2 and 2 together, why is there a sudden increase in crime? Why is there a sudden increase in meth production? Mm-hmm. Why is this blue shit going around? Maybe the lab which was robbed of, I forget the exact chemical compound.
Methylamine.
Of methylamine. Bear in mind, meth in the name. That was robbed recently. Mm-hmm. And now, suddenly, the compound, which is blue, and used to make meth, why is this circling around? I know Hank. Minor spoilers. I know.
Whoa, no minor spoilers. No
minor. Oh,
yeah, come on. You had your 3 minutes.
I was getting into something there. I was getting into a little.
Yeah. We know what you were getting into.
I was getting into a PQ&E there. I was getting into a PQ&E there.
Into spoiler territory.
All my English leaving cert people will know I was getting into a PQE there. I couldn't help myself. I will conclude on the crimes which were committed. Probably would have been stopped within a year or so. If this is in America, the crimes hopefully would have been stopped within a year.
I don't think so. Think of how many crazy things happening in America right now. Think of the drug rings, the pedophile rings. I'm not even talking about meth business. Think of everything that's going on. I doubt much happens, especially in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
But you hear of a drug going around which gains such traction in an area, and the police do nothing about it. It's just weird. Like, the police knew about it. That was the weird thing.
But they tried. They were investigating. They couldn't.
They couldn't stick it together. I know. It was just... I don't know. Maybe it was just due to times. Like, is it set in 2009? I do think it is set in 2009.
Yeah.
2008.
Whatever. 8, 9.
Set in that era, so I do believe there has to be, security cameras. There has to be ways to trace it back to them. Like, I know it's not 1984 George Orwell shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's gotta be ways to trace it. And that's it. Over my critique over.
Now, we made these critiques, yes, still. This show is... I mean, you can't even compare it to most shows. It slaps us so silly. I'm just gonna very quickly... You can do it as well. Give a top 3 favorite characters. Just quickly. I'm just gonna quickly say favorite character, Walter White. Second favorite character, Jesse Pinkman. And third favorite character, Michael Ehrmantraut.
Okay. The list is looking very similar. Looking very similar. Say, number 1, Walter White. Number 2, Jesse Pinkman. Like, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for the third one. Because I think Walt and Jesse are just in their own domain.
Yeah.
Like, this is the difference between, like, an A and a B.
Yeah.
Not going to get into S plus, S minus now.
Yeah.
But this is the difference between, like, an A character and a B the character. Like, they are the level which you need to get at.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe there's many characters in the show which are just below the level of Walt and Jesse. Like Mike. Like Saul. Like Hank. Like, I know this is a controversial one. Like Flynn.
I like Flynn / World.
You see, I liked Flynn as well.
He was great. I thought he was great.
Like, Flynn was the one with the most obvious change. I didn't bring him up earlier because I didn't think he went through the most change. But he did go through the most obvious change, signified by his name change.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into it that much because it's going into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
We'll just say Flynn for now.
Flynn. Yeah.
But I do believe it's hard to put, that third character in. But if we're going by, my feelings towards the character, my thoughts of their interactions with other characters, everything, I'd have to give it to Hank. I'd have to give it to Hank.
I thought you were going to say Saul.
No, I was thinking Saul.
Saul
is... I consider Saul like a fan favorite.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of them characters. He's not like the most important character. He's not the biggest character in the show. But, every time he's on screen, you're like, oh, Saul,
Oh, crap. We lost, oh, God. I by mistake deleted the image of the BreakingBad thing, so we lost that. The post.
Oh, fuck. Well, fuck.
You
ruined it. You ruined the podcast.
Oh, God. I'm done it. It's over.
You fucking destroyed it.
God.
That's it. We're done. Podcast over, people. Check in next week. Hopefully he doesn't delete it.
Wait. Like most people are probably listen to it. I doubt many people are, watching this to the exact moment.
They're tuning in now. They're looking at the lack of BreakingBad photo and they're disappointed.
And they're just like, man, where is the photo? Like, don't worry, I'm gonna get a. Oh God, this photo's so blurry. Oh God. But where's the photo I had? It was so good. No, watch this. If anyone is watching, by the way, because I doubt anyone's watching, but if anyone is watching, then watch this as I very, very slowly pull up a image. Come on. Oh wait, this is a spoiler image. Whoops, don't pull it up. Take it away. You talk. Give some closing remarks about BreakingBad while I look for it.
You take your time there, boss. You take your time. Anyway, closing remarks on Breaking Bad is that it is genuinely one of the best shows out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm gonna say it is one of the best television shows out there. I cannot say it is one of the best shows. Of course, there is other shows out there which might be better in some people's eyes. This is biased territory here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not major show critiques.
Well,
like we say we are.
we are.
We're not big time. This is two biased bios here.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But if you look past the small critiques, if you look past a few boring eps,
well,
here and there,
nah,
not gonna go into that ep now. It's highly controversial.
The Fly, you calling The Fly a boring episode?
You know, fucking Buzz, but you know,
The Fly was one of the best episodes in the show. I'm gonna say one of my favorite episodes. I'd say one of the most important episodes.
If you agree with this bozo, if you agree with this bozo, leave.
Anyone in the chat who agrees with me, you're an absolute genius. You know what's real. You're a real one. I know, but I know enough people are here.
Real ones to who? Real ones to the fucking mental asylum.
Real ones to the world.
Real ones to the world of fucking psychedelics. Episode was trash.
It was so good.
It wasn't needed. It
was so good.
Like, well, it felt like a fucking Spotify ad. You know, want a break from the ads? That's what it felt like.
I don't know. That was a phenomenal episode. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, chat might say I'm on some bullshit.
Chat is
and I'm 100% here for them.
Chat is asleep right now. I'm sorry to say, chat's dead.
Chat's dead.
Chat's dead. Chat's been dead for a while.
If anyone agrees with me on VOD, if anyone agrees with me on VOD,
thumbs up.
Shoot a text in next time. Say I agree with him. If you don't, tell me to fuck off in the next one.
If you don't, say, I don't know, Fly best ep there is. No doubt about it. Never been a
trying to
episode.
hashtag fly best.
Fly worst or
if
fly
you agree
best?
with me, fly worst. If you agree with me, I'll fly best.
Fly best.
That's for the next one. Anyway, back to closing remarks. I do say Breaking Bad, S tier show. It's one of the best you're gonna get.
Yeah, phenomenal.
For the time era.
Oh yeah.
For production quality, set pieces, everything feels so real. The world feels so real. You get fully immersed in the story, which you don't see much in television shows nowadays. You always think in the back of your mind, you know, this is too unrealistic. This is too this is too that. With Breaking Bad, you feel fully invested in the characters. You feel their emotions.
Yeah. The dialogue it's superb. I mean, it's witty, it's powerful, it's sad, it's emotional. It is some of the best written and best acted. It's anything you'll ever see. The acting, not only as I mentioned the dialogue, but physically is supreme. From Walt's exaggerated mannerisms to Jesse's like youth and innocence at the start, to Mike's sternness, to Hank's, as we mentioned, big bossiness, to Skyler's pretentiousness, to Saul's sleazy lawyerness. Everything is perfect. Like, if you imagine it a certain way, this is exactly how you would have imagined it. This is phenomenal. I mean, you can't do it better.
I feel like the best thing about the show is it's not the premise of the plot. It's not, you know, the setting. It's not anything. It's just the characters themselves.
Yeah,
they are so relatable. Their moral choices are so relatable. You stick yourselves in their shoes, you probably end up doing the same things. That becomes more and more, what would you say?
Prevalent.
I wouldn't say evident.
Prevalent.
I would say becomes more and more twisted almost come the end of the show.
Definitely.
Like, it almost feels like you're watching a Telltale game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It'd be crazy. Like, you can go back to different scenes and go, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if Walt did this? What if Jesse did that? What if, Hank did this? What if Skylar did this? What if Mike did this? I mean, you can endlessly give theories and explanations about what could have happened, what should have happened, what would you have liked to see, and you could go on forever and ever about it.
I think that's perfect. I do think that's perfect.
It's exactly what you want. So, out of 10 rating, what would you give?
What would I give Breaking Bad?
Out of 10.
9.8. 9.8 show. And I don't say that without any doubts in my mind. It is a 9.7 show. Mm-hmm. You might be saying that's a bit much, or he's overreacting. He's lost in them. But I do believe it is a 9.8 show.
No, I was gonna say 9.9, but I would agree 9.8. I think it is. I would like if I'd say 10 out of 10 is the best show, then Breaking Bad is a 9.8. It is truly phenomenal. It is. I can't think of many superlatives. I mean, we've been doing this an hour and 20 minutes. We've gave our critiques. We've told why we love this show, and even the fact that we decided to do a whole episode about it, like Batman.
It's evident.
It goes to show. Like, just saying, most of our episodes and podcasts aren't going to be mainly revolved around one show, or if they are, that show is either the best or the worst. Just a little heads up that not many episodes are going to be focused on one show. Obviously Batman, or a movie in general. Obviously the first two, Batman and Breaking Bad, were to set the scene, but the next episode isn't going to be about one thing. And that's just because there's only a couple of shows, you can only love so many shows. There's only so many shows that'll hold a special place in your heart. And Breaking Bad is definitely one of them. Definitely one of them.
I do feel if Michal, you check your messenger, this ending photo gives tease to next week's podcast, and you know what? It's quite a funny meme. I'll give it that.
It is a funny meme. I'll
plug it in.
I'll plug it in. The problem is I need to. Goddamn. I don't think I'm. Wait. It'll take a sec. You take some time to say something while I get this sorted.
Look, next week, expect big things.
Multiple things. Multiple things as well.
Multiple things. Number one, a review of the what would you say? What would be the best word to describe it? The conflicting movie, which is Morbius.
Currently out in cinema. The critically slammed movie that is Morbius.
102% on Rotten Tomatoes, 192% on Film Critic. It's
best show.
It's making
ever
waves.
Yeah.
It's making waves. It's a movie and it's getting best show ever made. That's what we're saying. Oscars for Morbius. That's all we're saying. Most anticipated movie of the year. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
No one cares about that.
Morbius movie. Look. We're going. We're going to be there for the Morbius week.
We'll. Hopefully, if anyone is looking on the VOD, you'll see the funny meme. But yes, it is true. We will be discussing Morbius. We will be discussing maybe the first episode or two, or I don't know how many will be out of Moon Knight as well.
Moon Knight, yeah.
That's
also a very conflicted show at the moment. Really? People are giving mixed reviews on that one. That's going to be an interesting.
I heard it was really good. No?
You see, the first episode came out and people were genuinely happy with it.
Yeah, that's what I heard, bro.
But main plot was leaked recently.
Oh, really? Oh,
it was leaked on Reddit.
Don't say it.
No spoilers, no nothing. It was leaked, and we won't be getting into this until the show eventually ends.
Yeah.
But it was leaked, and there was outcry.
Really?
from a small population on YouTube.
Small. I mean,
There was outcry.
it's. I mean, it is the internet. They're gonna hate. They love to hate shit.
Look, you could also say this about a lot of TV shows.
Yeah.
People, when they see it on paper, aren't always going to be happy with the results.
Yeah.
But they aren't going to like it until they see it in person.
Like imagine if in the 1900s, if they said, if they published, we know Darth Vader is Luke's father, people would be like, what? That makes no sense. How could you do this? But in the movie, Darth Vader is Luke's father. Spoiler. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm very sorry to anyone
If they haven't watched
it.
Star Wars the original trilogy yet, why are they here? That's the question.
Well,
why are they here? Why are they here?
They are here to learn and maybe to realize that they should watch it. They should watch it. If anyone who hasn't watched it, go watch the original Star Wars trilogy. No, I would recommend the prequels more. They are better. So yeah, we will.
Always the hot take. Huh?
We'll talk about.
Always the hot take.
We'll talk about Moon Knight. We'll talk about Morbius. We might talk about something else. We'll see how much time we have. But
anything which comes up in news.
Yeah.
Anything you want us to talk about.
If anyone has a suggestion, then just send a message in. Send a whisper. It's pretty easy to contact us. It's not exactly, we're not anonymous. So yeah. Thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks for all the followers. Really appreciate everyone, all the people in chat, everyone who was here for the whole thing, here just for a bit of it. We're really appreciative of it. And yeah, catch you next Thursday.
Yeah, catch us again, folks.